Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Chants. I'm Sam Wiederhaft. Coastal gets ready for their big rivalry game this weekend against App State on Saturday at 3:30. The Chants are coming off a big win over ULM, 23-8 at home last weekend. So to talk about this next big rivalry game, we head to Downtown Conway and Chanti's Pizza, where head coach Tim Beck was on the Coaches Show with Kyle Rush. Kyle, take it away.
Every game, certainly, I know in your tenure here, you've put an emphasis on, hey, if we start fast, we're in a good position, especially elements like that. You get the football first on a day where you think maybe deferring to the second half might be the better way to go, but your team goes down the field, gets points right on the board. How did that help with mindset the rest of the way?
Yeah, no doubt. Anytime you can do that, it builds momentum. And that's what we talk about is sometimes you just need that. And it doesn't even matter what it is, right? Field goal, it could be a safety. It doesn't matter what points you get. But if you could move the football, get some positive things happening, and that starts to take place, just the energy. And I think that's where you felt a lot of that come from that opening drive.
Well, you've talked all year about how we handle adversity and how we get back up and respond. Tad goes out, Ben Samari Collier comes in, and you've preached next man up, all the coach speak that goes with that. But talk about how impressed you were with how ready he was to go and how he carried the football team.
Yeah, I mean, tribute goes to, obviously Samari, but even the coaching staff, Coach Holmeshead and what he's done and in preparing. I think I tell our players all the time, and really at the beginning of the year, it's never how we start in terms of even our lineup and the players. It's going to be how we finish. There's going to be so many changes and injuries and things that take place. But this I know, and I remember having these conversations with our quarterbacks when Emmett ends up going down and MJ gets named the starter and then Tad takes over, and but through all of them in the conversations, I looked at every single one of them. I said, we're going to need you. There's going to be a game. We're going to look at you and say, get in. And you better be ready. And because everyone's counting on you. Like your team and your teammates. You could pout. You could be upset because you're not playing, or you could prepare yourself because when that time comes, we're going to need you. And he was ready. We put him in there, and he did. And again, I thought what Drew did, calling the plays and started to different quarterback. He has a different skill set, different talents, things he does really well. He's different than Tad, he's different than MJ, he's different than Emmett. They're all a little bit different. And we were smart in how we played, and Samar did a good job. He protected the football. Like, not everything he did was he might have missed open guys here and there, but he didn't risk the ball because we were in control of the game. And the last thing we want to do is give them money.
Well, Coach, you go into that drive, and into the game, really, a game where running the football is going to be paramount. Warhawks came in defending the run exceptionally well, particularly in their wins. What did you see in our run game that really was able to create some things against a defense, frankly, that hadn't allowed much on the ground?
Yeah, I thought we played really well up front. Offensive line played very physical. I think that we ran hard, running back, and protected the football for the most part. I know they wanted to give that, but they had great patience. And then even downfield, I thought our receivers did the best job blocking downfield at tight ends, which allowed some of the big extra runs, right? Instead of the 3, 4, 5 yard gain, or 7, 8, 9, 10 yard gains. Which turned into first downs and whatnot. And then obviously, anytime your quarterback can run, it stresses the defense, right? We found that out a couple of weeks ago with Old Dominion. If you can run, you really stress the defense. You got to go to the receivers, got to go to the running back, now you got to go to the quarterback. And that helped. And you saw Samari get the long touchdown run. So that brought a different element to it.
Teal Nation knows what week it is. It's that school and Boone week. The Chanticleers head up the mountain this week, and Coach, so much that goes into these rivalry matches, not just this one, but all throughout college football. What is the biggest challenge this week, getting your team ready mentally, hostile environment, homecoming crowd on the road?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is we don't play the game till Saturday. And that's the thing. Like, they can't expend all their energy
right
now. We gotta focus on us. we still have things that we have to improve upon. To continue to get better. Tackling's got to be better defensively. Times we left our feet. And, we had opportunities to play even better. And although we played well, but and just finishing off some drives and things of that nature. But our guys are excited. You can tell there's a little extra bounce in their step today at practice, but for us, it's just making sure that you get them excited.
Teal Nation has seen a nice blend of almost two styles of running backs with Nicely and Simpkins. Watching them run, when you look for what are different things that make each go, and how do they make the offensive unit different when they're in game?
Well, I think both are very patient runners, and that's where they've had some success so far this year. They've been able to let things develop, see those things. They're smaller, quick guys have really good vision. I would say Don is the bigger play capability, breadth. But Javen is just more natural. He's played more experience, I should say. Both are exceptional blockers. Both can catch the ball in the backfield. Sam and John Edwards are even using Vaughn a lot. He continues to get better and better too. So it's a great. They call themselves the stable. There's all those guys back in there, and so we've got some good things out of Jane and John as well. So I've been pleased with that group. And, being able to rotate them helps so they don't get beat up as much. And so that's why as you get in the week 8, they're not beat up as other people.
Well, certainly you got one on the road against South Alabama. In this day and age, we've seen 60 new guys come into a team year in and year out, and in this day and age where it's, hey, you can't say like you did 10 years ago. Remember 2 years ago when you went up there? Yeah. How does that change when you have players that haven't experienced the culture of a certain environment before?
Yeah, it goes back. I've talked to you before about Tuesday. I kind of do like a scouting report and just fill them in. And we talked about that today. We talked about what that environment's going to be like. We talked about that. This is a rivalry that's bigger than football. I think our people hate their people. It's a beach versus the mountains. It's a way of life. Then it's way, way bigger. It's Teal Nation versus whatever they are. And you just explain that to them, and you tell them what it's going to be like up there. And, obviously, probably even to a different extreme because it's home ground, so it'll probably be even more than it was when we were up there. And they threw beer cans at us and whiskey bottles, and we got pelted by everything. It was really awesome. Love it.
Well, when you win, that tends to happen a little more too.
I told them there's nothing better than that. Nothing better than grinding them up.
Good, for sure. Coaches, is fans here at Teal Nation that don't make the trip up there, watch this football game. If you were going to tell them a few things that, hey, the Coastal's going to have a good day if you start seeing these things in the football game Saturday, what are they?
Yeah, obviously it's turnovers, right? That's a pretty important thing. Who's turning it over and who's not. I think that's a big one. I think, third down conversions. Who can stay on the field? Big plays. If we can limit their big plays, and they have to drive the length of the field and the defense. It's just hard to do that consistently over and over again. You've got to try to do it. Even some ours was a long run. You get the touchdown right before half on the long run. And those big plays created momentum to turn into touchdowns. And teams do that. So we can't beat ourselves. We can't. We played a very disciplined game 3 times. We talked to our guys. Disciplined, violent, fast, and fast. That's what we need. We need to play disciplined. We need to play violent. We need to play fast. We need to play fast.
Well, Coach, I'm ready.
Yeah.
We're ready to go do it, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk to one of those Chiefs on the offensive line.
Big Nick.
That'll help pave the way for a Shot of Clear victory Saturday.
Great game.
We talk to Big Nick in a moment here on the Shot of Clear Sports Network, live from Chanti's Pizza, presented by Downtown Conway. Welcome back, Chanti's Pizza, as we're here with one of those that have paved that shot clear run game and protecting the passing game, and Nick Del Grand. And Nick, first of all, you know, a lot of the skill position guys may not like all the rain and the slop, but you offensive linemen seem to love it, is the way the game goes and paving the way for that run game. It almost takes you back. Does it take you back your childhood a little bit, playing bad weather games and getting the shirt muddy a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, down football games are the best. That's what you look for as an offensive lineman. That's what you prepare for. And it's super fun. And honestly, it makes it easier as an offense because we both know what we're about to do. It's just who's the better football player. And a lot of times I like our matchups. So.
Talk about on the offensive line, and you know, fans will watch the game and see how a game develops, but what are some of the intricacies that you worry about play in and play out that maybe the fan watching on TV doesn't necessarily see?
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like I just line up and block the guy that's across from me, which I wish it was that simple. It'd make my life a little easier. Right. But no, I mean, you've got to look for a blitz, rotation of the safeties and coverages. And there's just a lot of things that go into it. And obviously, there's individual play calls. I mean, one play is one and another is another. Like, there's not one play that's the same assignment. So the playbook is small. They do a good job of that. Our offensive staff does a great job of having a condensed playbook. So the plays that we do run, you can just play fast and play physically and not think too much.
So many times you'll hear people talk about, well, they have depth on the offensive line or depth on the defensive line. From when the season began to now, how do you feel like the group as a whole has come along and developed from where you were, say, before the Virginia game to where you are getting ready to go from out to school of Boone?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Beck says it all the time. The group that you start with isn't the group you end with. And that's very real. And that can be for injuries, but that can also just be because someone's playing better than someone else, which happens a lot of the time. And I think our young guys in the offensive line are playing really well. Kenny Brown steps in there, plays good football. Julius Tate steps in there, plays good football. Daniel Jones is coming along, playing good football. Those are all guys that maybe aren't your starter guys that you see on the screen for the game, but they're all guys that will get in there and play good football. And that's where depth comes in, and being able to have that, be able to sub those guys in, maybe when someone's tired or gets banged up, pops a shoelace, and you don't miss a beat up front. That's super important. We do a good job of that.
When you see a guy like Tad, or maybe it's Jacob or Dom, that lowers the shoulder to get that extra yard for a first down, what does that do to the guys up front?
Oh, it gets us fired up. I mean, I love Jaden, I love Dom, but Tad Hudson lays that shoulder. I mean, he'll get that first down no matter what. And sometimes I'm like, hey, you gotta be careful. But besides the point, he does a great job at that. All of them do. It's real exciting. And it honestly just sets the tone for the drive because it doesn't feel good as a defensive player when the running back runs someone smooth over for a first down. It gets them pretty down, and you just get them on the heels and get going.
Talk about your journey a little bit from where you started back in high school days to where you are. What are you most proud of from where you started playing high school football to now playing for the Chanticleers, getting ready to go for a big matchup?
Yeah, there's a lot of branches to that question, but honestly, the simple answer is just my knowledge for the game. I mean, in high school, I would have just said I line up and block the guy across from me, maybe pull once or twice. But now football is just a game of it's such an in-depth game, but at the same time, it's the most simple game there is. You know what I mean by that? It's where where I'm at now, where I was at is night and day. And that's even for my freshman year when I started my first collegiate game at UCLA, and where I am now. I turn on that film, I don't know what to watch it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy, the development, and that's props to the coaching staff developing the players, and then obviously to us, just having confidence in yourself and getting better, work on the craft.
How do you use some of that experience? You mentioned a lot of the young guys on our offensive line and seeing them try to develop. And do you see a little bit of redshirt freshman Nick at UCLA and some of those guys?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, and it's the same. It goes like I've had conversations with all those guys, especially before their first career starts or before they're about to get rotated in there for a drive or two. It's just about being calm, being where your feet are, just not practices are harder than the games. I mean, we work hard at practice. So when we get out there and we play the game, it should be slow. It should be, your mind should be at ease, and that's why you got to remind those guys sometimes to take a deep breath and not think too much when you go out and play.
So sometimes folks will say maybe for a quarterback settling the nerves, it's that first completion. What is it for an offensive lineman? It settles things down a little bit, helps things slow down and settle into the game flow a little bit.
That's easy. That's just when you put your hands on someone. I mean, when you out there in the first play, it's you butt someone up face mask to face mask. You got to feel for the guy you're going to block, because majority you are going to block the same 2 or 3 people the whole game. And after you get that first feeling, it's you're where your feet are, like I said before, and you're just getting home.
Home games, obviously, we talked a little bit about before we came on here, that how much fun, even though maybe not as many people, but how much fun the environment was. Back on Saturday against the Warhawks, and you helped pave way for over 200 yards on the ground with this rushing attack. Different type of environment on the road. What is that like as an offensive lineman where the communication may not be as clear as you get here home?
Yeah, I mean, that's just preparing well for the game and just preparing like we're going to be in an environment like that. So going up through the week of practice, working on crowd noise and stuff like that, which is a very real thing up there. Up in when it was 2023, we went up there, and it was hard to communicate at times. But I mean, you just have to do it. The quarterback has to do a really good job of getting the play call to the line, and the line has to try to do a good job of communicating to one another. But yeah, working on that at practice is huge, and from the guys who have experienced playing in those environments, it's big for them and for us to address like what needs to be fixed. Like today at practice, we had a conversation with the quarterbacks. Like, hey, maybe you need to step up 1 or 2 more steps to communicate something with us. Like I know I can hear you right now. But on Saturday, I won't be able to hear you. So it's little things like that. So you're just using your experience and your understanding of the environment and just using it for your advantage.
Now more of a fun question, obviously, here at Chanti's Pizza. Who's the best pizza eater on the offensive line?
Probably Heston Edwards. He's the biggest guy we got. He's a good dude. Love Heston.
So what is Nick's go-to pizza?
Me and my fiance like a margarita pizza. That's our go-to. We'll make it at home all the time. But I like to add chicken on there for some protein. So sometimes we go separate ways with all the pies. But yeah, chicken with some margarita pizza is my favorite.
Sounds good to me. Nick, thank you so much. We'll get ready for that School of Boone Saturday as we have a big one coming up Saturday. Nick, thanks so much, and we look forward to paying more of those big rushing lanes coming up on Saturday. Back here at Chanti's Pizza, and before we get back to Tim Beck and give some stuff away, where you hear him on Saturdays, Lane Harris, the color analyst, the brains behind the operation on Saturdays, and Lane, you have seen more than one of these Battle of the Beach, Battle of the Mountains type contests. What is the most fun for you sitting in the booth and watching these football games over the years?
Winning. Yeah. Let's clap for winning. We first played them, I'll say, back in the 3rd year of our program, and we were down 31-0 at halftime. And that was a time when their FCS program was miles ahead of us, just getting out of the gate. Monty Edwards, heard of him.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, 3-time Peyton Warrior, I think. And then a couple years later, we played them in the playoffs. And Tyler Thigpen was a senior in the 06 team, and that was a very good team. But that season ended at App State. Well, we scored more points on App State that year than anybody else. So, and then I think the following year they beat Michigan in the first game of the season. And so that was a very strong program up there. They've always been strong. I think we started out 0-6, and Coach, we've gotten 2 wins since then. No, 3 wins, 2 at home, but last 2023, 2 years ago, we got our first one up there. And I'm looking forward to going back up there. It is basically, it's the mountain men versus the beach boys. And they don't like us. And that's fine. We don't like them either. And they're not going to let us take the deadgum RV up there this week. And that kicks me off. I don't know if Coach Beck tells everybody about that because they won't let us take an RV up there. They won't give us a parking space to put behind the deadgum deer stand we have to stay in to call the games. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it at Georgia Southern, but that's another story. But that's another thing that just kind of just makes this rivalry very special. That's a very good football program up there. Dell Loggins is up there now. Clyde Christensen, who I played football with at North Carolina back in the 70s, is their offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of local ties here. A lot of South Carolina guys are up on that roster. Colton Ferris from Beaufort is up there. Beaufort, excuse me.
Don't mess that one up.
No, is up there. So. A lot of recruiting rivalries that get won and lost during the off season. A lot of these guys know each other, play football against each other in high school, so that's what makes it very special. We're starting to climb back into this rivalry and start to even that number up, and I hope we are able to do it again on Saturday.
Well, certainly in any rivalry, you look at them across the country. Each side has their plays that go down at more that no one ever forgets. Is there a play for you for the Chants that sticks out against that school of Boone?
I tell you what, it was the fumble recovery you had in 2023 on that long pass they hit down the sideline. Who could recover that fumble, Coach? Yeah, T-Money. T-Money recovered that fumble because they had hit a big play. They were getting ready to go in for either a tying or a go-ahead score down inside the 30-yard line, and somebody strips him, and T-Money comes up with that ball, and we go down, get it in field goal range, kick it in field goal. That is, in this series that I've seen 6 games now, that was the biggest play that literally turned that game up on its head and gave us a chance to win. And in all the other 5 games, we either lost or not come close.
These rivalry games always have some extra energy added to them, and we'll see the Chanticleers with another level of passion against the school in Boone on Saturday afternoon. That'll do it for this week on Friday Night Chants. I'm Sam Wiederhaft. Signing off. Chants up.